2016. It was a year. This was the year David Bowie died. Brexit was started. Pokemon Go was released. There was an election in a country I've never heard of between two people that I've also never heard of. I'm sure nothing important happened there. And Barack Obama visited Cuba. Yeah, nothing really happened. But something did happen. In June, a game was released that would destroy humanity. Well, okay, it didn't destroy humanity, but it got pretty close. This game was Dead by Daylight. Shock horror, it's in the title of this video. It's not really much of a shock. Now, if you've never heard of Dead by Daylight, it's an asymmetrical 1v4 horror game developed by Behaviour Interactive where one killer tries to sacrifice 4 survivors who try to complete generators and escape, and all of the players get their souls sucked out of them. I really envy you for not knowing what Dead by Daylight was. I'm really sorry to have now made you aware of Dead by Daylight. But that seems pretty simple, right? Well, it did really well, with over 250,000 sales in the first week, reaching 1 million sales within 2 months, and by 2018, over 3 million. Wait, people actually paid money for this? Well, in 2018, they had an idea that had been running through the heads of devs and players alike. Esports. Now, if you've never heard of esports, honestly, where have you been? I need to go there, like, now. But it's basically where a bunch of E's run around kicking a ball, trying to score a goal. Now, making a tournament isn't hard, unless you're DBD, because no matter who you ask, someone is always doing something wrong. But in order for a tournament to be fair, perks have to be banned, killers banned or cycle, items banned. Looking at your flashlight. But this also needs to be streamed, so it needs to be entertaining. Now, that's not to say it's impossible. Many have created tournaments that have been successful. I would think Behaviour, the developers of the game, would make one of these successful tournaments, right? Right? In early 2018, a post appears. Escape. Dead by Daylight 2-year anniversary event. An official DBD tournament with a winning of $15,000, or $5,000 per platform. And Dead by Daylight swag. Just Dead by Daylight swag for second place, and third place gets nothing. Over 3 days with 1 platform a day. Sign up now for your space, unless you're in Belarus without the B? Huh. Now, Dead by Daylight's a pretty popular game. So, obviously, they would have enough space for 174 teams that were registered. They had space for 16. Now, these 16 were hand-picked with no qualifying rounds, so bummer for anyone who didn't get picked. I guess that was at the time. They probably were thankful for not getting picked after what happened. But a poor 108 are still pending to this day. Now, the teams had team names, of course, and I would like to give mention to some of the lost, such as Team Bing Bong, Nipples, Dis Game Doodoo, The Harem House. Pretty good job so far.
Oh my god, cholesterol!
Salty Nips, My 600 Ping Life, and Near in the Pussycats. The rules were simple. No perks, items, or offerings, or add-ons. This is a bare bones tournament. All skill. Please remember the all skill part. You can use items found in the game. It will be a best of 3. The realm will be the Macmillan Estate Coal Tower, and only the Macmillan Estate Coal Tower. Kills and escapes are 1 point each. Each team has the ability to gain 4 points per game. 1 restart is allowed if a player disconnects before a survivor is hooked, gen completed, or it's within a minute of the game. Body blocking is banned, but only if it's a survivor blocking a hook or a killer blocking in the basement. Face camping is a viable strategy. The case of a hatch standoff, whoever finds hatch first gets the point. All survivors or killers are allowed, unless you're the clown. No one likes the clown. No one likes the clown. Now, I can see where this is going. You can see where this is going, unless you're one of the few people who don't know what esports is or don't know what Dead by Daylight is. Please send help to us. But how did behavior not? But let's just say the rules are easy, right? Now, of course, this isn't all on behavior. They had picked the best of the best gaming tournament organization in the entirety of North America. Spacey Sports. Yes, Spacey Sports, the professional esports organization. Not to be confused with Station Esports. Spacey Sports, that esports. Now, despite being mostly unknown, Spacey Sports had been in the business of tournaments since 2015 and had multiple tournaments for Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege, and even had multiple Dead by Daylight tournaments, mostly for PS4 or PC, but it's not like Dead by Daylight was unknown to them either. June 22nd comes round and 1,000 people tune in for the official Dead by Daylight tournament, endorsed by Behavior. And it doesn't look good. The background, whilst impressive art, doesn't match the colour of the text, leaving it as a bit of an eyesore if you were to watch it for 12 hours. The text being typed on whenever a team gets changed over, with no pre-made sources to do a quick changeover. The impressive art that I just mentioned, like 3 seconds ago, that was stolen art. It doesn't sound good either. The commentators' mics are not the quality you would expect from a professional esports commentator. It looked and sounded like something that was put together very quickly beforehand without the professionalism of an official tournament. Like, come on, janky headset mics and stolen art. You remember what we said earlier when they mentioned the rules. I give you the Blendettes versus the Nurse. Every game on the same map for 12 hours. Now, the thought process behind the Blendettes versus the Nurse was simple. Nurse is the strongest killer. Claudette is the #1 go-to for hiding at this point. As there is no real way of saving someone once they're downed, and the killer can very easily camp with no repercussions, that means it's gen time, everybody! Now, gens are boring, and no one wants to watch gen completing with the same killer and the same survivors on the same map for 12 hours straight, so this strategy is not the best for entertaining. Luckily, though, we have commentators to keep the vibes out. What now? You see, no one really knew who the commentators were, but they were picked out by the behavior of Space Esports, so they must have known what they were talking about.
Juby, off the Valhalla, struggle bug mode was
Sent to Valhalla? Now, Sent to Valhalla became a bit of a meme, because why on earth are they talking about Valhalla in a game that does not mention Valhalla? Apparently it's an inside joke, which if this tournament was unofficial, would be strange but understandable. But in an official tournament, being watched by thousands of people who don't know the inside joke, that's just downright unprofessional. But that wasn't the only thing.
already able to get the Super Saiyan level 2 right there.
Wow.
Currently,
No, and I personally hadn't thought about before we actually started doing these tournaments was people using the chainsaw dash, not necessarily for trying to, just trying to hit people, but actually just using it for, like, increased mobility. Kind of the way the Nurse does.
Now, anyone who has played DBD wouldn't describe Maya's ability as Super Saiyan, and would know that Billy's main use of his chainsaw is map mobility. So, maybe the Maya's comment was another inside joke, but, like, shouldn't you know at least a little bit about the characters of a game, or just the game itself, before commentating on a game? Like, I wouldn't just start commentating on a Valorant game, because I don't play Valorant. I don't know Valorant. Actually, let me know if I should. Now, knowing what the Dead by Daylight community is like, they were joking a lot in chat and requesting a new host, which was not taken well, which, knowing the Dead by Daylight community, added fuel to the fire. Now, most video game tournaments have one simple rule that they are very strict over. No cheating. Somehow in 2018, and even still to this day, I'm not going to get into it, but even still to this day, Behavior has had difficulties having any sort of a normal response to such things. As here we have it, lag switching in the official tournament. This gets worse, as then in the finals, in the final moments of the game, we get a hatch standoff. Now, if you joined Dead by Daylight after they allowed killers to close the hatch, you would have never experienced a standoff. Essentially, the killer would stand on the hatch and wouldn't allow the survivor through, but the survivor could get through if the killer hits them, so the goal is to stand there, like Clemens, until one of them gives up or until the killer makes a mistake and smacks the survivor. Now, watching here, Marth, who is playing the killer, the lovely nurse, reaches hatch first and is stood on it. The Claudette joins soon after. Now, the Claudette won't be able to escape since Marth is on the hatch, so it's a standoff. Right? Now, Marth, since he found hatch first and the Claudette can't escape, takes the win and smacks the Claudette. Hatch opens and she escapes to end the game. He won, right? Wrong! Because the hatch wasn't open at the time. It does not count as a standoff. Ignore the fact that if they waited 0.2 seconds for the hatch to open, Claudette still wouldn't have been able to escape, and they then would have been still in the same position as they were now. It was not a standoff. This led to a tiebreaker game in which Marth and D-Pip Squad lost to the tournament monsters. That's also the team that was allegedly cheating in the earlier games. So that's that. Marth was robbed was trending, the tournament was a joke, and destroyed all hopes of official Dead by Daylight esports at the time. Since then, and even before that, many unofficial tournaments have been incredibly successful, and what the official tournament should have been. And many creator-led tournaments are now seen as official by many of the players, or more official than if behavior was to endorse or lead another tournament in the future. Will they ever make another? Probably not, but I'm not going to hold my breath. Hey guys, thank you for getting to the end of this video. This one's a lot different from my usual content, so if you like this video, please make sure to let me know and subscribe for more random uploads. I'm trying to focus on actually uploading things without overwhelming myself, so it might be more short-spaced than longer videos. I am back to streaming more regularly though for the time being, so you can find me on Twitch. Of course, the links will be in the description. But yes, thank you all for watching, and until the next one, have a good night guys!